Hello, welcome to Demography Talks podcast. Today we will talk about wildfires and how these affect our lives. Wildfires and forest fires are not new phenomena, and actually they are an essential part of a healthy ecosystem. They contribute to clearing out the dead litter on the forest floors, allowing important nutrients to return to the soil, and enabling healthy beginning for the plants and animals. From ashes, ecosystems regenerate and are born again like a phoenix. But this might not always be the case. If the fires take too long or the ground stays dry too long, the ecosystems have lower chances of recovering. Climate change leads to more fires and more extended droughts. According to a study in the US Rocky Mountains, after the year 2000, the proportion with no regrowth almost doubled. Why is this topic important? It appears that the frequency and the size of the fires are growing. By the 16th of July 2022, almost 1,800 forest fires had been recorded across the European Union since the start of the year. That is 273% higher than the average for this time of year between 2006 and 2021, and 64% above the highest levels previously recorded within the same period. More than 345,000 hectares of land have been burned, 3 times higher than the average for this time of year. A report from 2020 projected an increase of up to 50% of catastrophic wildfire events by the end of the century. Extraordinary fires already occur in areas previously not considered at high risk, for example, northern India, Russia, and Tibet. In this video, I want to discuss 5 ways wildfires and forest fires affect people. First, wildfires and forest fires threaten people's lives. Wildfires and volcanic activities affected 6.2 million people between 1998 and 2017, with 2,400 deaths worldwide from suffocation, injuries, and burns. Second, people's health is under threat as well. Wildfire smoke contains particulates and toxic combustion products that cause respiratory, cardiovascular, and neurological harm. Studies have linked wildfire smoke with higher rates of heart attacks, strokes, and cardiac arrests, increased emergency room visits for asthma and other respiratory conditions, and weakened immune defense. Sustained exposure to the particulate matter in smoke can be fatal, especially to those with impaired lung function or other pre-existing health problems. Canadian researchers reported in May that people who lived outside of major cities and within 50 kilometers of a wildfire in the past decade had about a 5% higher risk of lung cancer and a 10% higher risk of brain tumors than people not exposed to wildfire. Exposure to smoke particulates above safe levels can cause chronic impacts that reduce life expectancy. Smoke associated with deforestation fires in the Brazilian Amazon has been found to be responsible for the premature death of almost 3,000 people annually. Also, we should not ignore the psychological distress from losing loved ones, pets, or a valued landscape due to a wildfire. This is called solastalgia. Solastalgia describes a form of emotional or existential distress caused by environmental change. In the case of firefighters, risks are even more heightened, as exposure to high smoke concentrations and demanding physical activity increase respiratory and heart rates. A firefighter career might lead to a decline in lung function, hypertension, lung cancer, also mental health issues. Some firefighters show chronic post-traumatic stress symptoms. These can be more common in younger seasonal firefighters. Symptoms have been found to persist for up to 7 years. Third, wildfires can cause damage to properties, infrastructure, including power and communication lines, water supply, roads, and railways. The economic losses by wildfires amounted to $58 billion over the past 20 years globally, but these costs are probably underestimated. Fourth, extinguishing the fires is expensive. Annual firefighting expenditure by the USA has increased to $1.9 billion, a rise of more than 170% in a decade. But usually the costs are higher. For example, California alone spent $37 billion over the past decade to fight fires. In many regions, it is challenging to estimate the actual costs due to extensive reliance upon volunteering firefighters. Fifth, wildfires impact the water. Forest ecosystems absorb and filter water. They regulate the delivery of good quality water to aquatic ecosystems and downstream communities. The wildfires are affecting the sponge and filter effects that regulate downstream water quality and availability due to the combustion of vegetation. Therefore, the soil becomes more prone to erosion. The combination of higher water velocity from rainfall and snowmelt and enhanced erosion might lead to sudden water quantity and quality changes in rivers and lakes in downstream areas. When wildfires burn human settlements, toxic derived from plastic or industrial leachates, such as mercury or arsenic, can also accumulate in runoff and threaten aquatic life and human health. Especially smaller communities are vulnerable to the post-fire water, as they lack the financial and technological resources to deal with the risk and aftermath of a wildfire. What about solutions? To cope with fires, humans must learn how to live with them. Even with lower emissions, the risk of catastrophic fires is high. A warming world, drier landscape, and wind patterns worsen wildfires. I will focus on 3 solutions. The first solution: more resources need to be directed at preparing for fire seasons. In most countries, more than half of wildfire-related expenses are on tackling the fires rather than on planning. Experts are now advocating moving away from suppressing to managing fires through better land management. This includes making sure that landscapes include breaks that fires cannot cross. For example, in Portugal in 2017, 4 large wildfires killed more than 100 people, the deadliest in its history. The government subsequently decided to prioritize land management, including creating buffer zones and setting deliberate fires during the winter when they can be controlled. Portugal has not suffered such a disastrous blaze since. The second solution: buildings and communities can be built so that fires sweep through them, or better still, around them, leaving them more or less intact. Infrastructure can be made more resilient. Clever design can help make buildings resistant to fires that spread in this way. Neighborhoods can be toughened up too. A report published at the University of California in Berkeley describes how entire communities can be planned to resist fires. Buildings near water is one tactic. Open agricultural lands, including the vineyards, can offer a helpful buffer too. Even golf courses can serve as fire breaks. Burying electricity lines can help avoid blackouts and subsequent costly rebuilding. It can also prevent power lines themselves from sparking fires. Australia, which also suffers from wildfires, has experimented with bunkers specially designed to withstand flames for an hour or more, long enough for a flaming front to move through. The third solution: governments should take measures and tackle this problem. But do you know what the main cause of forest fires is? People. According to the report for 2020 by the European Forest Fire Information System, which covers 43 countries, in Austria, 91% of forest fires were caused by people. In Cyprus, 63% of the fires were deliberately started, and 29% out of negligence. In the Czech Republic, 50% of forest fires were caused by neglect, and 30% were human-caused, with unknown motivation. In Finland, 70% of cases of forest fires were caused by accidents, as a result of human actions, and less than 10% were natural causes. We cannot stop all wildfires or forest fires, but we can be more careful when camping, make sure we put out a fire completely, and discard cigarettes safely. Be more considerate to nature. Wildfires are here to stay, and we must learn how to coexist safely. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe if you learned something today, and see you next time.